everyone, welcome to the Horror Realm. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another Women of Horror Spotlight. Today, I have with us, she's a director, filmmaker. She even does a little bit of acting, and she has a new movie that'll be coming out soon on Amazon, and it's called The Nine Lives of Bryce. I have with us Kelly Thompson. Kelly, welcome to the Horror Realm.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you on. Now, listen, you told me a little bit about this movie, but tell my audience, it sounds like a fucked up film.
Well, it's about a man, and this is based on some truth. Some of this actually happened in real life, so that's where I got the idea stem from. You know, because every story that you write, there's some truth. You know, but basically, I knew a guy who moved off the grid and he collected cats, and that's where the whole idea came from. And then it just became. I was like, well, you know, this is an older man. What he does is he's in the porn business. In the beginning of the movie, his wife leaves him. He has nowhere to go, so he gets this notion to go live off the grid in a cabin with 12 cats. And then he slowly decides that he's going to kill the cats so that he can retain his youth. And since he's not able to get erections, he thinks that, you know, killing the cats will somehow bring his sex drive back.
I love this story because listen, as a man, one of our biggest fears, it's not dying alone, it's the most ridiculous thing, and that's losing our erection. And we will go through extents with pumps and pills and God knows what to keep that alive, even though, you know, we're way past our reproducing era. So when you were making this movie, what was going through your head?
Well, I mean, I had seen it in real life, so I had seen some of this happen in real life. So bringing it to life, seeing it, actually creating the story and exaggerating what had happened in real life it tripped me out. Because it's an exaggerated story. Of course, in real life, the guy didn't kill the cats or any of that. But in this story, yeah, he does. Yeah, he kills the cats. He does things. He goes crazy. He starts to think he's a cat at one point. He goes psycho. It's a psychological type of movie, and he's alone all the time. And so I just thought, well, what would happen if you were alone all the time in the woods? You would go crazy. You would literally go psycho. You'd start doing things and acting like a primitive person. But a lot of the film, it just has Bryce because because you could see him going crazy in the woods.
And one of the things that another fear of mine, of course, losing my erection is one, but the other one is dying alone. So like my day job is, if you watch my show, I'm a mortician, and and I say all the time, you know, people who grow old, don't have any kids, and they die alone. They don't have no partner. It's a sad life. When they pass away in the house, usually it's because the neighbors don't smell a smell. They've been in there for weeks, dead, and when you go in their house with the cops, it is usually the saddest thing because they live a life of a hoarder. They have tons of dogs and cats, and there's something about, to me, that, like, you know, people who live alone, especially at an old age, and you get comfortable with living alone and dying alone, you just give up your drive. You give up your willingness to clean and take care of yourself and just your whole entire environment.
That's true. I mean, and that's where some of this idea stemmed from as well. And, you know, I mean, and that it does, you know, that hoarding and not caring, you know, I mean, that could just make you depressed and then make you want to care even less. Mm-hmm. And then things just gradually get out of control. And, I could see it happening to people. It happened to my next door neighbor because I had a next door neighbor that died like that, and they didn't find him for about a week, and then they eventually found him.
It's
So
a it's a sad way to go. It's a sad way to go.
yeah.
Now listen, you've been filmmaking for a while, and you've been jumping from horror to sci-fi. Is it tough to jump genres?
No, no, I don't have trouble with it. I mean, I think it's fun in a way. You don't stay in the same genre. That's what people they've gotten into when they watch my movies. Is I'll make like a horror drama like Lefty Lucy. Lefty Lucy is about a female Uber driver, and she has all these really bad, terrible things happen to her during the night of her Uber shift. She witnesses a murder, she kills somebody, all these things just happen. It progressively just gets worse and worse and worse for her. And she's just the driver. But I get it, there's like 28 passengers in the whole film, and it's just, yeah. That was one of my first ones, and it was pretty successful. It won a lot of awards and stuff. I mean, at that time there wasn't any Uber movies. They didn't have any. That was one of the first. So,
now, when it comes to filmmaking, like you just mentioned Lefty Loopy, and I was talking about the 9 Lives of Bryce.
yeah.
As a filmmaker, is it tough to come up with new ideas? Because I mean, like you said, Lefty Loopy, there was no Uber movies. I have not seen a film about an old man who loses his heart on.
No, no, I haven't. No, that's why I came up with it, and I've talked to men about erection problems. People have talked about this. I don't know. It's something that people, I guess. I don't know why people confide in me and tell me about these things, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, if I could see that happening, going crazy if you couldn't, and then you didn't know what to do with yourself.
Yeah.
And and then he's got a girlfriend in the movie too, and the girlfriend doesn't understand what's going on, and then he gets a blow up doll and all these, which there's a. That's yeah. I'd have to send you a link to actually watch this thing, because you probably would enjoy it, because I do have it up on YouTube too. So
because I could imagine. So, like, I can imagine as a man, you're married or you have a serious relationship with something, and boom, it just doesn't get hard anymore. I feel like in that situation, a woman can be more understanding compared to if you go out into the dating room and you can't get hard. I feel like women are less accepting.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, I've come across things like that in the past, and that's one of the things that kind of rooted the idea. Usually, it's because a man has some sort of heart problem, and it just doesn't work properly. But yeah, and then this guy that I've dated for a long time, he did this. He went off on the grid, and he has all these cats, and to this day he still has those cats. But he's not impotent, but he has the cats.
Now, why is it always cats? Why is it always cats? Why do lonely people? Why are they attracted to cats?
I don't know. And it's a crazy cat man is something not talked about either. It's always a crazy cat man. But there's there's something creepy about a cat man, in my opinion. It's just creepy.
I'm a cat man.
Well, you have 12 cats.
No, I have 1 cat. No, I don't have 12 cats. Yeah.
Okay, I have 1 cat too. His name is Romeo. He's like he's actually been really good. He's not meowing or doing anything.
Mine too, because normally she's all up at me during the interview.
Yeah, he's just sleeping. But yeah, I mean, just there's difference between having one and then having a pile of cats. And I mean, could you imagine? You wake up in the morning, you smell urine. I mean, cats can destroy your house. I mean,
They
if you have
really
enough of
can.
them, yeah. I mean, could you? I mean, as a mortician, you must have heard stories about these animals. Just the houses are just torn up
Oh,
when they find these bodies. I mean,
that houses have to be literally torn down because
yeah.
because what happens is the cat urine saturates into the
Mhm.
wood. It saturates
Right.
into the wood, and at a point, it just gets into the walls. I listen. At one point, I had two cats, and it was too much, and I was always paranoid. Does my house smell like cat piss? That's the. I feel like every cat owner. Well, you should be paranoid when people come
Well,
over. You're like, I wonder if it smells like cat piss because like because I've been to people's houses that houses smell like dog pee or cat pee as you have
yeah.
prior to, and I just feel like they don't know. I feel like they've been immune to the smell, become immune
Yeah,
to
they
it.
haven't. They don't. I don't think they smell it because they're used to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, you walk in like I've filmed movies in my house, and I'll be like paranoid, making sure that litter box
Yeah,
is clean. But then when people come into the house, they're like, "Oh, you don't even smell that you have a cat." I'm like, "Well, thank God," because and there's
yeah,
some cat litters. They're terrible terrible
yeah.
cat. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, there's terrible cat litters out there that was this stink up the house. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
a
It's a distinct smell. It's a distinct smell, and like that urine smell is a distinct smell, and you walk
it
in,
is.
and it, boom, it hits you right in the face.
Yeah, and I mean, I even had I had a cat that passed away, and when your cat passes away, and they don't make it to the litter box, and it
Hmm.
takes a minute to even get that out of the rug, or because I mean that's what happens.
Because I mean, back when I was out in a dating room, right? I used to.
Yeah.
I live in a city. I live in Baltimore, so Baltimore, DC. You know, people have busy lifestyles, and back when I was in a single dating room, I used to go to women's houses, and a lot of women, they have busy lives. They're working for the government, this and that, and they would have dogs, and all their dogs would be pad trained, and like they would only take the dogs for a walk when they got home, which would be 6, 7 o'clock at night,
Okay.
and I'm telling you, with the pet training, that's why I don't have a dog because I'm too busy. I'm not home, and I just feel like it's irresponsible to have a dog if you're never home
Yeah.
or someone's not home. And like the even with the pad, the urine would just leak right through the pad, and it would hit the carpet or the floor, and it's that
Oh,
smell. It's that smell. It would just take over your whole entire place.
you see that's why I don't. Well, there's two reasons I don't have a dog. One, I'm allergic to most of them. Some of them I'm not allergic to. It depends on their fur, but I'm not allergic to like that's one of the problems I've come across dating with in the past is like I'm allergic to their dog. I can't go out with them. I can't go into their house because
Hmm. Yeah, I'll
that
do it.
is the thing. Yeah, and then I don't have time for a dog. I mean that'd be.
It's too
I
much work.
mean, yeah, the dogs need a lot of love. Like they are very dependent.
My cat just leaves me alone. She comes by when she wants attention. She has a self feeder, self water, litter box, cleans itself. Like cats are convenient pets for busy people. I feel like.
That's true. That's true. But if you've got some disabled cats that are like all
Yeah,
messed up, then I guess you have
yeah.
to pay a little more attention to them. I mean, but yeah,
That's a
depends on
good
the cat.
question. That's true. But that's a good question. That's a good point you brought up. There are no crazy cat men. We always hear about the crazy cat ladies, but we don't hear about the
Yeah,
crazy cat men.
yeah. And I ended up with a crazy cat man, and most men which is weird because most men that I've known in my life hate cats.
Yeah,
I've
most
just
men do.
there's a lot of men do. They don't like them at all. I came from a farm, and a lot of farmers they don't take to cats very well. I mean, they have a lot of things happen. Farm life is just a little bit different than city life, and things happen with animals.
Yeah.
You know, and they get diseases and things like that, and then, you know, it's traumatizing for certain, you know, to deal with some of that stuff.
Now, right now, when it comes to filmmaking, it seems like everybody's making a film, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing and a bad thing. So,
Oh, yeah.
like, how do you stand out right now as yourself as a filmmaker? How do you try to stand out when it comes to your projects and your movies?
Well, I never really had a problem standing out because I'm a girl. That was just the. I mean, that's the. I've always stood out just because of that fact, and the fact that I'm not. You know, I mean, because of the way I look, too. I mean, a lot of people would assume that I'm stupid. You know, because if you know, you're a blonde white girl. You know, I mean, people treat you like you're an idiot. I mean, they do.
Yeah.
It's just like they assume that you like country music if
Mm-hmm.
you're you know, a little white girl. I mean,
Yeah.
but that's not always true. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a stereotype. So I've always kind of stood out. And then, you know, and in this area that I live in, there aren't any girls that do this. They're all men. I mean, and yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why there's not more, but yeah, I'm crazy enough to do it.
But I see more and more women, but there are more and more women who are becoming
Yeah, they're
horror
coming out.
filmmakers. But it seems like they make movies that are geared towards women and not just a collective audience. I see a lot more women making feminist horror films, which that's not a bad thing. But it's to me, I think it's I like when I see women filmmakers making a movie that, like, if you didn't know who directed a film, you wouldn't know it was a woman.
Well, yeah, yeah. My movies are like that. Yeah, like especially the latest one, the Nine Lives of Bryce, because when it was shown at the Tampa Bay Underground Film Festival, the guy that was sitting next to me, he was like, "You wrote this? A girl wrote this movie?" I'm like, "Yes." It's like I'm just surprised that a woman thinks like this because I don't know. I guess he assumed that women don't think about sex or these types of things that men think about. I don't know. He just because of the content in there. But I mean I don't know. I thought all people were they thought about those things.
But I've watched a couple of the feminist women horror movies, and like I don't know if I'm going in and watching a feminist horror movie, but I'm like, this seems like a great concept. This seems like a great story, and
Right.
and I just listen to how men are either portrayed in one or two ways in those films. They're either portrayed as super feminine, which you're looking at and like, wow, no man ever talks that way. You know what I mean? Like no man is like saying. I watched one that I'm sticking in my mind is where one man was like, "Hey, I know you're ovulating because I know your ovulation calendar." I'm like, what man knows when his woman's ovulating in her ovulation? I'm like, what? There's no man out there that like knows that. I don't even think most women. I gotta think of it. I did a review of it, and I did a review of it. I'll let you know. But like this man is like, I'm looking like no man talks like that. And then you had the other male characters who were like the most toxic, rapey perverts like you ever seen. I'm like, well, where is there an in between? Where is there like a normal guy in it? But I think it's hard for when it comes to filmmakers. Some filmmakers, men and women, that if you don't know how to represent the opposite sex, so you kind of make the opposite sex into a stereotype or into the same sex that you are.
Yeah, I mean, the Nine Lives of Bryce is the first time in one of my movies that I made the main character. I did it through a male's perspective. The other ones are female leads, and I made them. I don't make them like badass boss women either. They have flaws. I mean, they're messed up. I don't, yeah, because I never like stories like that where all of a sudden, they do that so often with movies now, where and it's the most unlikable character. The hero, nobody likes the hero because the hero is perfect and they suck. They just have a shitty personality.
Yeah.
I mean, and nobody wants to root for them. They want to root for their friend.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah, it's like
I would say I don't know how some filmmakers miss the mark when it comes to that. Like, yeah.
So, and Disney does that all the time with their movies, and they come out with their stuff. It's like, okay, and then they press some stereotypes, and then a lot of people don't, they can't relate to that because they're not everybody's that way.
Yeah.
So agree. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. There's, but I like to spice it up, and I like to open up the age realm a little bit at this point because people look so damn good when they're old now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just do. People just, I mean, Gen X, millennials. I mean, they look damn good for their age. You wouldn't even be able to tell us half these people are 50.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, and to me, an older person is a little more interesting. They've lived life. They've done things. A younger person is just starting out. They're whining and crying because of something very little in their life that won't matter in like 5 years.
Why do you think the horror genre don't make more movies about 40 and 50-year-old characters in a horrific situation?
Well, maybe because they can't run. I don't know. They can't get away. I don't know. They think maybe perhaps they think
more terrifying. But isn't that more terrifying that somebody's chasing you and you can't run? That's terrifying.
That would be terrifying. That would actually make a really good horror movie. I mean, it would just the fact that you cannot move.
Yeah.
It's just really crazy.
A horror character that goes after the middle age and senior citizens. That would be an interesting horror film.
Yeah, because I did see an indie film kind of like that. It was a zombie apocalypse movie, and I don't remember the name of it. It was at one of the film festivals that one of my movies was playing at, and it was a zombie apocalypse, and it took place in like an old age home, and all the old age people, they became zombies, and they couldn't, when they became the zombies, they couldn't really move, like, faster. They weren't really killing anybody. They were just struggling. It was funny. It was kind of funny.
Kelly, wouldn't it suck if you were like 85 years old and a vampire turns you into a vampire? Wouldn't that be awful?
Actually, that would be bad. I mean, you'd be kind of pissed. I mean, I'd be pissed because you made it till 80 and then you become a vampire. I mean, okay, your life is like you're at the end. Why start again? Why not just be reincarnated and be beautiful again?
I would want to be a vampire in my 20s. You know what I mean? Turn me into a vampire in my 20s and I can live forever like I'm in my 20s, but I have a brain of 100-year-old, but I look like I'm in my 20s. I don't want to be an 85-year-old with a walker as a vampire forever, just walking around. That sounds horrible.
That's one genre I actually did touch on in one of my movies was the vampire genre because I love vampires. I
Yeah, that's
really
fun.
did. Yeah, they're fun. And during COVID, me and my friends were bored, so we made this vampire movie, and it revolved around COVID. And like this woman finds it's a concept. It's called Violet's Prey, and a woman finds a vampire in her backyard, and she decides that she's going to make perfume out of his blood, and then she distributes it throughout the world, and then everybody gets addicted to vampire blood, and people start turning into vampires.
I would love to be a vampire. I'm 42 right now. If somebody turns me into a vampire, I feel like I look great. I feel like I feel great in my 42. I mean, in the mornings I don't feel great, but I feel like I feel great. I don't wouldn't mind being a 42-year-old vampire. Like yeah, a 42-year-old vampire would be great. Now I don't want to be once again. I don't want to be a senior citizen vampire because
No.
yeah. There's no
No, that's not. I mean, it just. I mean, what would you do? I mean, who would you talk to? How would you hang out? It's. I mean, I don't know. If you live forever, that would be another thing. Who would you hang out with? I mean, what would you do? What would you do forever?
I would
just kill people.
I would just make new friends. I mean, I would. But the sad part is everybody that you know and love are they're constantly dying, and you're just constantly living. You know.
Yeah.
And I think after seeing that over and over and over again, that would get to you.
Yeah, it would. It would pretty much depress you. Like my grandfather, he lived to be 104.
Wow.
Yep. And he saw everybody go.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the last things that I asked him before he passed away, I was like, because it was like his birthday, and I asked him how he was, and he's like, "Well, frankly, I'm sick of waking up." I think he was 104. I mean, but he still had his brain and everything. He died peacefully in his sleep. I mean, that's the best way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to be a vampire.
Why not? I mean, listen, you get to live forever. You can do everything. I mean, because one thing about life is we're such in a rush because we know that we don't have forever. So, like, but then again, would you be a procrastinator and just put shit off even more because you know you have forever?
I don't know. I mean,
what if you were a broke vampire though? What if you were a 200-year-old broke vampire? That would be bad, right?
That would be bad. That's like on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where they were that vampire angel, and he was like broke as hell, and he's like 185 years old. It's like, how did you live? What, you just were hanging out in the sewers for 200 years?
You never figured it out in 185 years. You know, you never figured out. You never put nothing savings in 185 years. I mean, I feel like 185 years. If you even put $100 a month in,
well, yeah, you would just put it in the bank and just let it grow. You didn't even have to do anything, and I mean, they'd have to have some knowledge of technology and things like that too. You know, I mean, you're around enough, you would have to. It's rather than just lurking in the shadows and being creepy. Yeah. I mean,
old vampire, broke vampire. Those are two things I would not want to be. I would not want to be broke forever. Just what I mean, just poor forever, just paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that sounds horrible.
It does. It's like an existence of
just working.
I don't know.
just
working all the time. I don't know. I couldn't imagine. You know, never ever enjoying your life. You just work.
Just constant. That sounds like a nightmare. That sounds fun. I think I would be a smart vampire, and by year 100, I feel like I would be wealthy. You know what I mean? I feel like I'll be a wealthy individual because I would know things. I would know what mistakes not to make. I would hope I would, and yeah, I think I would be a knowledgeable vampire. at 185, hopefully.
I would think that if you're a vampire, you would know how to rob a bank and get away with it. Do like little petty
Yes.
crimes. I mean, you would figure it out. And even if you went to prison for petty crimes, you'd live forever. So eventually you get out. It wouldn't matter. It's not like they're gonna.
I 100% agree.
I don't know how you'd eat in prison, but
There's tons of people in prison to eat.
well,
Kelly,
yeah.
listen, this is something I do every once in a while for my interviews. I'm going to ask you 3 random horror questions. These are your personal opinion. All right?
Okay.
You ready? All right.
Okay.
What is one horror movie that everybody loves that you're like, ugh, I don't get it?
Okay. Let me think here. There's a few of them that are kind of like that. I mean, there's some '80s ones that are like Once Bitten. That was a weird. That was a weird. That was a weird vampire movie. What's that? There's Night of the Living Dead. I really didn't get into that one as much.
That was an excellent movie.
It was an excellent movie, but I just didn't get into it. I mean, I don't know why. Because there was nothing wrong with the movie. It's just it didn't like catch my attention. It was just. But I mean, it wasn't badly done or anything. For its time, it was actually ahead of itself. It's just, yeah.
Out of all the George A. Romero, the iconic movie, Dawn of the Dead, like the original, that's the one movie I think the reboot was actually better than the original.
Yes, I do agree with that.
I really do, and I get so much shit for saying that, but I think the reboot was way better than the original.
It was. I thought it was. You could just the effects were better, and I mean, the zombies actually had some type of intelligence, which was kind of interesting because usually zombies just eat people's brains. Of course, I mean, there's one. It's not really a horror movie. I guess it's kind of a cross between a comedy and a horror movie. Shaun of the Dead. That was a good.
Love it.
Yeah, that was really good. They did they kind of made fun of Dawn of the Dead.
Yes.
A little bit because. and it was just an interesting take too, but I totally agree. That was then the second Dawn of the Dead, that was a good one too, where they were in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that was really good. So I agree with that. It was up there with the Resident Evil movies.
Oh, those. I, as you can see from my wall, I love the video games, but I hate the Resident Evil movies. I wasn't a fan of them because I was such a fan of the video games, and they're so different from the video games. That's the reason why. But I was not a fan. I liked the first one, but I wasn't a fan of the rest of them.
See, I liked all the movies, and I like the video games too. I mean, I like both of them. But yeah, they made up the female character.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she wasn't Alice. In the video. Yeah, Alice. They didn't. She's not in the video games at all. No, I mean. You've got that was actually one of my all-time favorite video games too, is Resident Evil.
It is mine. It's 1%. That's my favorite video game series of all time.
Oh, it's so good. It's so much fun.
It's so good. It's a great story. I can't wait for the next one. So next question. Which horror franchise do you wish they would put to rest?
I wish the Halloween franchise. I mean, I think we're done with that. They say that they're gonna try to bring back Halloween again, but I think I think that's run its course. I mean, God bless Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, she's done a wonderful job, and it's a great character. Great, we love the movies, but holy crap! I mean, what the hell?
I love Halloween, but I'm done with Halloween.
I like all the movies, yeah, but there's no need to do anything else with it. I mean, they're going to try to make another character, like carry on the torch or whatever. But I mean, they could think of something else, make another killer of some type, start another franchise.
But you keep coming back to the same IPs. I agree with you, Halloween, but I always say Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the guy on the wall. I love the first two movies. I don't know why we're at. I believe we're at the 10th or the 11th movie. I don't understand why we keep going down the Texas Chainsaw Massacre route. I'm done with Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I mean, I only kept track of the first two, and then it's pretty much the same. The Saw movies. The Saw movies. I mean, I'm up. What did I watch to the fifth one? And then after the fifth one, it was like, all right, okay, yeah, I get it, yeah, and they're good, but yeah, like even those Final Destination movies, they went too far with those.
Mm-hmm. And they're bringing it back, and there's a new one coming out soon. Yeah,
is there another?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that. I watched the fifth one, and the fifth one was good, but the fourth one, they could have just scrapped that. They were just killing people for the sake of killing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just
it starts getting to that cash grab territory where you're just making the movies because people want to see them and you just want to take people's money and you don't care about the actual project or the art side you have.
Yeah, which really is a shame because the fans are just like, what did they just do? Yeah. Why?
Last question. What is one? I'm going to ask you this question. What was the first horror movie that you saw that really scared the shit out of you?
Oh, that's an easy one. Stephen King's It.
Ooh. Now, how old were you?
I was 12. I saw it at my friend's house and it freaked me out. And I didn't like clowns anyway in the first place because when I was a kid, some clowns freaked me out at the circus and I never liked them. I didn't like clowns. So seeing it, and I mean, it was a made-for-television movie. It wasn't a mainstream movie by any means. People don't, but that was crazy. I mean, it was scary for a 12-year-old.
I can imagine. And that's the answer for a lot of people. That is that the It TV series scared them as a kid, and I could see how. I mean, I could definitely see how. It was terrifying.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and the effects, my God, they were so good with the effects. It's not like now where it's all just CGI, it looks fake. I mean, that shit looked real.
Yeah. And he was attacking kids too. So as a kid, you're like, oh shit, like this could happen to me.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, like nowadays they train you to get along with strangers, but back then you wanted to stay away from strangers. Yeah. There's no Uber drivers or anything, no DoorDash people. You went out and got your own stuff, and you just walked. You stayed away from people. Nowadays they teach kids, they're like, oh yeah, trust people, because you're waiting for an Uber or whatever, and it's a world of inconvenience, where it's more convenient to have somebody else do things for you, so then you trust everybody.
I'm shocked that there's not an Uber serial killer film.
I think there was a Lifetime movie thing about it. I didn't make one by any means. I mean, well, she does kill somebody, but it's not necessarily, she's not a serial killer. I mean,
yeah.
And she has a sex addiction in the movie, but I mean,
that way. I said you can kill someone that way too.
Well, you could, yeah. I mean, but I just wanted to make a movie where somebody had a sex addiction because not a lot of people make movies about stuff like that. I don't know. As they talk about, And the men do in the movies, but the women, no, they never make it where a woman does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know why, because there's a lot of women who sleep with all sorts of people.
Yes. It's called and when I grew up, it was called slutty, but now it's called being sexually free.
That's what they call it, is being sexually free now.
Sexually free, sexually free. You cannot slut shame anymore, men or women. It's called
What?
being sexually free. There's no such thing as slut shame anymore.
Oh my god, that's so weird. But I never really cared in the first place. I mean, but then again, I was always
there. Yeah,
I was always I've always been one to stay with the same person for a long time. I just never really did those things.
I was a slut in my early 20s, like a lot of people. So if somebody called me a slut right now, I would be like this. Yeah, okay, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I mean,
I don't even think it would. Yeah,
that's what I was in that period of my life. So I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
it is what it is. Yeah.
There's nothing. I
you
mean,
can't judge people anymore. You can't judge people anymore.
No, you can't. You can't. You know how hard it would be to be a comedian right now? Just to be a comedian and do stand-up comedy.
That's why comedy is dead. Comedy is dead because everybody's offended. And listen, what I grew up, I was born in the 80s. I grew up in the 90s. We knew what sluts were. We knew what, we were able to make fun of each other, whether it be because you were part of the LGBTQ or you were black or Hispanic. We were able to make fun of each other, and everyone laughed, and no one got offended. And
that's how it was when I grew up. That's how it was. And where I grew up, there are not a lot of a majority of people because they just don't live there. Like there's a lot of Native Americans. But everybody's welcoming and accepting and loves everybody. They don't. It's just the way it is there. But yeah, certain parts of the world, you will not see a lot of Hispanic people. You won't see a lot of Black people. You won't, because they just don't live there. It's where I come from. It's just way too cold, and those people are smart. I mean, because that's cold. That's a cold atmosphere. If you don't have to be there, don't be there because you'll freeze.
Yes, I can't do that. I can't do that.
See, that's smart.
Yeah. Kelly, where can everyone find you and your work?
All my movies are on Tubi and Amazon. I'm on YouTube under Kelly Home Thompson. And I also do other people's movies too. They're not just, I haven't just stuck to my own, but yeah, but yeah, all of my stuff is on Tubi, Amazon, YouTube, and I'm on like Facebook and all the social media, Instagram, Kelly Thompson 25G. So yeah. What's that?
No, I'm about to say, down in the description, I have the link to Kelly's YouTube, so definitely check it out, subscribe, like, share, all that good shit.
Okay, yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I need to. I should send you the link just to the 9 Lives of Bryce. Just
yes,
to see.
please. Yes, please, yes.
You'll laugh. I mean, I always whenever I do horror, I try to add comedy to it because I like to take light of a serious situation, because or else it would get bland. Yeah. Don't make it just about the killing. Add something to it. That's why everybody loves Freddy. I mean, yes. Freddy always has, yeah, he always has really good one-liners. Now, I never really got into Chucky.
I like Chucky.
Huh?
I like Chucky. Chucky has some great one-liners too.
I never liked Chucky very much. I always thought that was a dumb concept, the doll. I almost went out with the guy who played the little boy because he lives around here. I almost went on a date with him, but I decided not to.
Oh, you're talking about Alex Vincent?
Yeah, Alex Vincent. Yeah. I He watched one of my movies and he didn't like me anymore.
Oh.
He told me. I have the message. It's
Really?
saved up. It's saved.
Oh, that's awful. That's fucked up.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was mean, so I told him he was mean. I didn't like him anyway, so I told him that Chucky sucked. I did. I did. I told him I didn't watch it. He's like, I don't watch your movies. I'm like, I don't watch yours either.
That's hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious.
It is, right. But like everybody I know knows that guy, and he's he lives around here. So, yeah.
Well, Kelly, this was fun to have you on. Listen, I can't wait to check out the 9 Lives of Bryce and all your other films as well.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, thank you for having me. It was fun. I always like doing this kind of thing. It's a blast.
This is the easiest interview ever, isn't it?
Yeah, it seemed very, very natural and just a breeze.
I tell everybody, people get my think about coming on my show and they're like, "Oh my goodness, I'm nervous. I've never been." I'm like, this is not. I have no list of questions. I'm just having a conversation, and that's what makes it fun.
Well, yeah. This is going to be. This is on YouTube, right? This is on your.
This is on YouTube. The Horror Room.
Okay. So I'll have to. Everybody's going to have to subscribe to you too.
We have to 100% subscribe to me. I mean, I'm the only guy who's really doing this, like on this level, and yeah. Come on now. There's tons of indie subscribers. Why aren't you subscribing? I mean, come on, let's subscribe. By the way, thank you to all my wonderful subscribers, indie horror fans and filmmakers and creators too. Thank you all too. But yes, please subscribe. Kelly, listen, it's been an absolute blast having you on. Listen, you're more than welcome to come on anytime. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'd love to be back sometime if whatever you yeah, this was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna hit you up. I got something in mind. All right. Okay. Listen, everyone, thank you for coming to the Horror Realm. I'm Travis Bruce, and that's Kelly Thompson. We'll see you next time. Take care. All right.